Welcome, my name is Tim. In this short video, I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot a faulty indoor blower motor on the residential air conditioner. Now to begin with, as in any service call, we need to make sure the thermostat's calling for cooling. So we're going to click the selector switch to cool position. This will also turn down the temperature setting of the thermostat, so it's below the room temperature. Next, we need to click OK on the procedure guide up top. Now we want to take an inventory of which loads are operational, and we can see here that the indoor fan motor is not running here. These blue arrows would be spinning, and if you have speakers, you'd be able to hear it actually running. So no, the indoor fan motor is not running. When we go to the outdoor unit, we see that both the compressor and the condenser fan motor are operational. Now just a note here, it's possible that without any indoor airflow, you could have a significant frost accumulation on the indoor coil. And this may result in the unit outside cycling off on the low pressure control if it in fact has one. But for now, we know these units are still running. So we're going to click yes. Our next step is to remove the cover of the indoor unit, click OK on the procedure guide, and we're going to take some voltage readings to investigate the source of this problem. Now what I want to do first is I want to take out the indoor unit wiring diagram, and we can narrow our focus to the possible components that may be at fault here. Now again, we know the indoor blower motor is not running, so it's possible we have an open winding in that blower motor, but it's also possible we have a faulty run capacitor that's in series to the start winding of the blower. It's possible that the indoor fan relay is faulty, which would mean that if its coil doesn't energize, these contacts up here labeled IFR would not close and would not apply 240 volts to the indoor blower motor. And last but not least, it's possible we have a faulty fan switch right here within the thermostat. So we're going to determine which of these four are at fault by using the voltmeter, as well as doing some capacitance checks. So let's minimize the wiring diagram now, and we're going to start by measuring for 24 volts at the relay coil connections of the indoor fan relay. And when we do this, we see we have 24 volts going to the relay coil. Now, what component did this just eliminate as a possible malfunction? Well, our thermostat, because if we look at the wiring diagram again, we can see that we're receiving 24 volts at the indoor fan relay, and we can see our meter leads placed here right on the relay connections on the diagram. And we know we've got 24 there, therefore the fan switch is functioning and it's sending 24 from the G terminal to the indoor fan relay. Our next step is to check for line voltage at the relay connections at the top. So place your leads on these two glowing hot spots at the top, and we have 240 volts going in. So we're going to click yes. Our next step is to measure for load side voltage. In other words, do we have 240 volts coming out of those relay contacts going to the blower motor? So we're going to place each of our meter leads on the load side of the relay at the orange glowing hot spots at the red and black wire connections. And we have 240 volts here, which just verified that the relay is in fact good. It's passing power to the indoor blower motor and capacitor. So we'll click yes here. Our next step is to check the capacitor as well as the motor winding resistances. But to do this, you're going to need to turn the power off. So click on the handle of the disconnect and then click OK on the procedure guide. At this point, make sure the capacitor has been discharged, and that's already been done for us here. So next we're going to click on the capacitor and isolate it, meaning we need to disconnect the wires from it so we don't read another circuit with our meter. Once you've done this, click OK, and now we can take our multimeter and turning it to the microfarad feature, we can place the leads across the capacitor terminals, again, making sure that they were discharged. And this particular capacitor has a rating of 10 microfarads, and we need to be within 10% of that. And in fact, we have 10 microfarads. So this verifies that our capacitor is good, and this leads us to the blower motor. Now let's click yes on the procedure guide. Now we need to turn the multimeter to the resistance or ohms function, and we're going to check the resistance of the windings in the blower motor. Now we'll begin with the start winding. So we're going to place one lead on that brown wire that we just disconnected from the capacitor. That's actually going to the start winding. We're going to click OK, and our next lead is going to be placed at the black wire on the load side of the relay, and this is the common wire from the motor. Now if it's easier for you, you can just disconnect both wires so that they're both in the vicinity of the meter leads, so you can actually reach the meter leads to each wire. At this point, we've got a reading of OL, or infinite resistance. This indicates we have an open start winding in the blower motor. Now, if you had a good reading here, you'd go on to check the run winding in the blower motor. Now, if by chance both windings read a measurable resistance, that most likely means you have a mechanical issue with the blower, such as a seized blower. In that case there, you can pull the return duct off, and after shutting off the power, just turn the blower wheel with your hand and see if it spins freely. If there's any resistance or rubbing or grinding, that would verify that the blower is in fact seized. But in this case here, we do have an open winding. So we're going to click yes because we've got infinite resistance. We're going to click on the motor and we're going to replace it. Click OK on the procedure guide, and next we need to reestablish power to the unit by turning the disconnect back on. And then last but not least, we want to go up to the residence and make sure cool air is reaching the residence. I would also check the filter and replace that if it's dirty, but we can see here from the register and the graphic that cool air is actually reaching the residence. So we finished the problem. Now again, you can click on this top left icon and review the procedure guide in a step-by-step basis. In other words, review each step that we just took in order. So in case you're not clear on one of those steps, you can review it. Good luck on all your future service calls, and I'll see you back here soon. Thanks for watching. Do you want to try 3D simulations and VR HVAC training yourself? Then visit interplaylearning.com to start a free trial today.